live at 4:20. The 4:20 report. Cheeky about a bong with Fred and live at 4:20. It's Cheeky about a bong with Fred
and Alan.
There we go. So we'll see you today at 4:20. 4:20. It's Cheeky about a bong with Fred
And Alan.
There we go. So we'll see you today at 4:20. 4:20. It's Cheeky about a bong with Fred
And Alan.
There we go. So we'll see you today at 4:20. 4:20. It's Cheeky about a bong with Fred.
It's getting hollower.
There we go. So we'll see you today at 4:20. 4:20. It's the Ohio at 4:20 today. It's live with Fred and Alan on the Ohio Cannabis Institute. I think they're cheeky about a bong. Listen live at 4:20. At 4:20 today. Today at 4:20, live, Cheeky about a bong with Alan and Fred. Today, live at 4:20, we're going to be cheeky about a bong. Cannabis, pot, weed, marijuana, whatever you want to call it. We're just going to do a little dab. Today, live at 4:20, we're going to be cheeky about a bong. Cannabis, pot, weed, marijuana, whatever you want to call it. We're just going to do a little dab. Today, live at 4:20, we're going to be cheeky about a bong. Cannabis, pot, weed, marijuana, whatever you want to call it. We're just going to do a little dab. Today, live at 4:20, we're going to be cheeky about a bong. Cannabis, pot, weed, marijuana, whatever you want to call it. We're just going to do a little dab. Today, live at 4:20, we're going to be cheeky about a bong. Cannabis, pot,
Live. It's 4:20. We are cheeky about
a bong.
a bong.
Oh my gosh. That's Fred now.
Live. It's 4:20. We are cheeky about
A bong.
a bong.
Oh my gosh. That's Fred now. Hey, welcome to Dope in the year 2017. You know, I'm a minister, I'm a financial guy, and now I find myself here talking to Fred. Welcome to Dope in the year 2017. You know,
minister, I'm a financial guy. Now I find myself here talking to Fred. In the year 2017.
No, that's,
Minister, I'm a financial guy. Now I find myself here.
Hey, pardon me for a moment. We got a feedback. Everything we're saying is feeding back on it. Oh, I bet it's this. Hey, pardon me. Okay, you cut him off. Good. Okay. All right, we got it back under control. Thank goodness you're here, Fred. An Academy graduate, good-looking guy like you, and you're for cannabis?
Yeah, it's a very, very valuable plant, a very, very valuable medicinal plant.
Yeah, welcome to the era of legal pot shops. We're going to call them dispensaries in Ohio.
That's right.
And today, you know, Fred's the state director for the Ohio Small Businesses
Chamber of Commerce.
Chamber of Commerce.
Right.
And there's some 32,000 of you out there that are screaming entrepreneurs that tell us that you want to be involved in this cannabis opportunity. It may be the greatest opportunity of your lifetime, from what I hear. And the 3,000 underground growers in Ohio, my gosh, they feel left out. The patients feel left out. The veterans feel left out. There was no patchwork for making sure that those people that needed it immediately got it. So people are still dying. You know, vets are still killing themselves. Children still have Tourette syndrome and epilepsy and cancer and heart problems. And, you know, every day I run into a friend that's in need of this type of assistance. You know, I just had a friend that's got high anxiety problems. And he told me it's so bad he can't even hardly hold a job, much less any longer carry on a conversation. He actually had 5 strokes and a heart attack. Brilliant man. He's been an incubator runner here in the Ohio area for years. You know, being a compassionate minister, a holy man, my first instinct was, man, I wish it was legal for me to say, hey, brother, try some of this.
No kidding.
And I think that would have helped this man have a better quality of life, maybe a longer life. I was with one of my goddaughters over the weekend, and she's just, to my heart, she is so wonderful.
Precious.
And
right?
precious. And she has had 4 open plate brain surgeries since she was 5 years old. And she was sharing with me that
Why? What was her diagnosis?
she has a form of epilepsy that tumors seem to be linked to in her brain. And it's hard. It's really hard when you love somebody to see them suffering. And particularly if you think you have a solution. And that's becoming an irritant to me as a compassionate minister more and more every day, because I hear
It's
more
not
and
a
more.
matter of thinking you have a solution. There is a solution.
Well, for some,
there is a solution.
I believe for some. For others, it may just be a Band-Aid on a cut finger. But for a lot of people that need this and need to be self-medicating every day, it's amazing. But for the small businessman in Ohio right now, we need something more than a Band-Aid put on that too. We have Appalachian low unemployment through many parts of Ohio. We have people still living in cars, and our soup kitchens and our food pantries are overwhelmed. I know I've been involved in inner city ministry with heroin addicts and street people for 35 years. And I get it. I mean, it's that we need jobs. That's one of the things that got me involved in this. It wasn't just the little children. It was that there's so many levels where this is economically right, and the war on drugs was totally insanely wrong. To break into people's houses with flash bombs and confiscate their assets is morally wrong. It's against everything in my religious fiber to accept, in my name, police breaking into somebody's home, stealing their assets, confiscating them, saying it's due process, the spoils of the drug war, you know. So I've seen them.
Does that affect a certain segment of our population more than another, maybe?
Yeah, Fred, it affects, depending on where you are, from the medical community to the black community, It's a form of racism. I mean,
It is.
if you looked at what was going on, I just saw some statistics here about it. In California, arrest of non-white teenagers for pot suggestion surged from 3,100 in 1990 to 16,400 by 2010.
Oh, the population must have grown by tenfold then, huh?
A number of studies in the mid-2000s found that more than 40,000 people across the country languished in state or federal prisons on marijuana convictions. To put that in perspective, the entire prison population in most countries in the world is fewer than 40,000. And right now, that's one of the things I'm not proud of. We're number one prison industry in the world here in the United States. Worse than Russia, worse than China. Oh my gosh. It's appalling that in our country that's the reality.
It's become a business.
It's a business. But the real business should be for small businessmen and entrepreneurs. This isn't rocket science, guys. They call it a weed because it grows pretty easily. And there's 3,000 cultivators in Ohio that are very experienced with it, and there are 300,000 clients that self-medicate. They're already there.
Where are you getting these numbers?
Well, I'm an analyst. I do financial analysis. Some people think I'm one of the best people in the world at that. I'm what many people call a visionary. I look at numbers and try to look into the future with some insight and understand what's going on. And very often that just brings
That's
me
in
down.
the financial world, right?
Yeah, that's and a friend of mine who refers to me as a sage because I'm always talking about things before they happen in his mind.
Yeah, that's true.
It's because I stay current on movements and trends and concepts, and so I get ahead of myself. I get ahead of other people. But that's advantageous if you're an investing person, and so I've always found it. So I started investigating this. I started digging into it, and I had no reliable statistics or facts. I went to the Brookings Institute, and they'd written some great articles. And I started with the Brookings Institute, then I started going out myself and going to grows all around the world and looking at them.
Nothing like first-hand experience.
Nothing like first-hand experience. But right back here at home, we're talking about the need for jobs in Ohio.
We are talking about, and really a large part of what we want to convey to you is the small business community can benefit from this oncoming, I'm going to say, green rush of opportunity of growth for our state. Small businesses all over the state can benefit from this. And quite frankly, what we need to do is rally, because the way the systems are being put in place right now, it's not beneficial for small business.
Fred, does it not make sense to take the 3,000 underground growers in Ohio and bring them above ground?
Makes
Am
all
I
the sense
missing
in the
something
world.
with that?
It makes all the sense in the
And
world.
by the way, if Ohio's farmers right here
Yeah.
that are growing already this fine plant in
Right.
Ohio.
Some of the
and-
finest strains in the world.
In the world, okay. And if a fraction of what I understand is going on, those people are selling it underground where it could be a criminal reality, really
Oh,
easy
yeah.
for them.
Absolutely.
They're selling it one-to-one to people they love and care for, so they're already looking out for their best interests. They're growing the healthiest
That's right.
product.
And
they
many
can.
of them don't even sell it. They're growing it for they've grown these
For their
land trace
grandmothers,
strains right, because they're putting it into creams for the arthritis for their grandmothers, or they have a cousin who has Tourette syndrome and they want to help.
Just had a doctor down here from Avon, Ohio, young neuroscientist, and he brought a salve, and I rubbed it on my arthritis.
Did it?
I'll tell you, I could pick up a pen and write with it again. I hadn't been able to do that for weeks.
Nice.
It felt nice.
Real nice.
I got on my keyboard and I found I was exercising those fingers.
Nice.
But there's thousands of jobs out there.
There are thousands of opportunities that
But we're closing all of them out.
That's
for
the
big
problem.
pharmaceutical, for out-of-town big money to come into Ohio. I think that's wrong.
large corporations, the way that this is being set up right now, at the highest levels of our governmental structure, is that the medical cannabis program that's being instituted is essentially being designed for large corporations to benefit. cutting out 30,000 small businesses in the state of Ohio. Really, really
Well, we've
wrong.
turned the business of Ohio into prisons.
We have.
If the manufacturers, the big corporations, aren't satisfied with the workers, then they throw them away like a waste product.
Isn't that true?
And our prisons are full of what they think are waste products.
When was the last time you've heard of a corporation embrace someone who had a drug addiction problem in their corporation and try and rehabilitate them and live with them and care about them? It doesn't happen anymore. Used to.
Well,
Used to.
I believe in 1990 I knew most, if not all, in the inner cities of the Franklinton, the Bottoms, heroin users.
Yeah.
And today I see that as blown up and thousands of times worse than it was in 1990. We almost had wiped it out. And this war on drugs came in, and all of a sudden they've lost practical reality that we wanted to help those people, not imprison and kill those people. There are families, our brothers, our sisters, our neighbors' children, our neighbors' wives, our neighbors' husbands. They're people that are in our community that we love and we all value. Yes, when they're on that horrible opiate, they're out of control, and I get it.
Right.
But that's not cannabis.
It's not.
And we ought to have compassion for those people. But why we treat the marijuana users the way we do. But business-wise, why are we treating the small businessmen and the small farmers of Ohio like we are? I think, number one, I can fix the problem between the medical need and their regulations in about 60 days, given an opportunity.
How would you do that?
Well, I'd probably send in somebody like Dr. Jonathan Cachet that came out of California, an Ohio homegrown boy who understands cannabis. He's a neuroscientist. He's been out there, he's been involved, and he's now back here in Ohio.
Is he the one that actually specializes in plant and human behavioral interaction, and not just behavioral, but chemical and biological interaction? Is this the same guy?
Yeah, he's extraordinary. He's over the top. And he's a small entrepreneurial businessman already, and he gets it. He sees it. He sees what his generation is also seeing. For people under 40, for people in their early 30s, for people under 30, this is a dream of a financial future that's right there within their reach, and they see it being killed with chemical sprays here in Ohio and stopped. And for the people like me, that I'm 67 years old today, I mean, things like falling down and bruising myself and breaking bones, and I need this stuff because the bone density of my body is changing as I've got older. Most of the seniors die of broken hips and things. Here's something that causes your bones to heal twice as fast. Did you know there's such a thing right now, a definition, a medical definition of being low on the endocannabinoid CBDs to be healthy?
I did not know that.
10 years ago, they couldn't measure that.
Wow.
Today, because of the opening up of legalization of cannabis, they can now measure that. And if you're low on it, your body may not be appropriately bringing in the right antibodies and other things you do to stay healthy, like bone density. They found in an Israeli study that the bones would heal twice as fast using cannabis. That's when they started realizing there was a deficit going on of the vitamins and enzymes that are in this product.
Almost makes
why
me,
we need it.
Almost makes you believe that there might be some value for those who suffer from osteoporosis.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one. That's a big one. I've had all kinds of medical problems.
Josh Goodslaughter, right?
Josh Goodslaughters. I've had over 230 breaks of broken bones in my body. I fell 2 stories. It was all at one time.
On the rock.
On the rock. And so
Fell onto rock.
I hurt. But hey, listen, the arthritis from it today, it's 8-9 years later. I survived it. What doesn't kill you should make you stronger. My bones are stronger today.
Right on.
And I am stronger, but the pains and aches in my body, and just from living a hard life, I played football and basketball, I wrestled, I boxed. I was like a lot of people, I was athletic, I rode bicycles, I fell down, I bruised, I hurt parts of my body. And as we get older,
get out of shape,
even
out of
muscle
alignment.
memory comes back and says, oh, what about that aching shoulder muscle? All right. And I'm sorry, a little dab rubbed on there and cannabis oil. I'm good to go.
It's quite amazing.
I was in my church just a little while ago where I like to meditate, and I was meditating on my pain, and I had just self-medicated with cannabis, and I realized I was sitting there, and all I could do was have gratitude, God, because my arms aren't hurting, my wrists, look, I mean, if you look at my two wrists side by side, well, it's hard to see on here, but this one, see that?
1.5 times the size of the other.
Yeah, it's
a good fall.
1.5 times the other wrist.
It's a good
That's
fall.
about right. Bones get almost double in size when you break them. They heal, and they put a patch on top of themselves, just for good measure, right?
Well, they are stronger when
But
they
I
heal,
normally am
right?
hurting so bad, and after I got done self-medicating, I was sitting there and I realized, God, my knees aren't hurting, my hips aren't hurting, my arms aren't hurting, my ribs aren't hurting. Oh my gosh.
Nice to be out of pain.
And then I realized, thank God for this plant.
Yeah, no
As a
kidding.
minister, I think we need to be more compassionate, more thoughtful, but we need to worry about those small business people in America.
You know what gets me on this topic? If you have someone in your family who has a need for a strong psychoactive like a Xanax or a strong medication for people who have, let's say, some kind of emotional disorder, we don't look down upon those people for needing that drug, do we?
Well, we don't look down for people that need opiates. I mean,
Right.
if you're in a car accident or work injury or a sports injury,
Why is it that
if you're
people-
injured, period, in pain, I think most of us have the humanity to understand we're compassionate people. We're not
Why do a
monsters.
lot of people look down on people who smoke cannabis for the need of it? It doesn't matter if you need it because you have a broken wrist or, you live with chronic pain or whatever the case might be, but people look down on people who use it even if it's a valid need.
Well, the Gallup
Why is
polls
that?
in the early 2000s found that only about 1/3 of Americans favored legalization of cannabis. That climbed to 44% in 2009 and was 48% in 2012. And by the end of 2016 was over 60%. And I just saw an estimation between 87 and 91%.
Goodness gracious.
Of America.
Growing fast, growing
So
fast.
America has woke up. They realize the need for medical cannabis. They certainly don't want it turned into a bureaucratic nightmare. For goodness sakes, it's less dangerous than an aspirin, less addictive than a cup of coffee. We heard doctors testify to those two statements before the state boards.
Not just
The
doctors.
state Senate, this Congress.
The most well-known and respected doctors in their specialties in the world, doctors.
Well, I've got hope for Ohio. I always have. We should be the entrepreneurial leader on an agricultural subject like cannabis of the world. We should be encouraging branding and every entrepreneur in the world to throw more money in this, get involved in it around the whole world, to make your own salves out of your own strains, to brand your strains, to be out there selling your strains, to be telling us how good your strains are, to be growing them with love and tender care, using your fresh Ohio artesian water and your red worm casings from
That's
the
right.
Ohio dirt.
That's right.
All of it grown in Canada is grown in Ohio dirt. I love that.
I know. Did you know that?
Well, this is agriculture. That's why we're going to have our friend Paul doing the ag report.
Absolutely.
Every day at 4:20. We want
Ag
to bring
report.
on a report of some kind, whether it's small business with Fred or whether it's a ministry perspective or maybe a financial analyst insight. But these things are happening around us. So, guys, if you haven't been through the experience lately, there's a thing that we call reefer madness, right? Reefer madness, right?
Public enemy number one.
Isn't that something?
And people believed it.
There was a movie like this, Reefer Madness.
Public enemy
Number one.
Number one.
Oh, yeah. And then there was, What About Your Daughters? And it was adults only. It was that passionate. This was the craziness of the 30s when alcohol prohibition ended and cannabis prohibition first got started.
Yeah.
Then we got
Well,
up to-
those agents needed somebody to go after, right?
Well, you unemployed, couple thousand, as I understand it was, of those agents that went after alcohol. So in 1937, they made it illegal. They basically said you had to buy a tax stamp that nobody would sell you. So it was kind of a twisted law. So we get up to Richard Nixon, and he hated those people that were telling the truth about the Vietnam War, that were protesting war and saying peace. You know, he hated them. So he made up a level 1, and all the medical experts around him told him, but that isn't real. Cannabis is not as dangerous as heroin, is not as dangerous as meth or cocaine, or even an aspirin, for goodness sakes. You can't put it on a list like that. And Nixon said, I can, and I hate those people, so I will. And, you know, then
what happened?
We had the Reagans, which were people that I dearly loved, but, you know, with good intents but a lack of intelligence, sometimes we do dumb things. And Nancy, of course, wanted to start a war on drugs. Dare to say no. All right. So we got where we are today. Now we're a prison state. We're to protect people from their own realities. We're willing to throw bombs in their house, arrest them, throw them in jail, beat them up. We're willing to steal their assets. We're willing to use this as a form of discrimination against Africans. We're willing to do a lot of silly-ass things with this. I think it's wrong. Fred,
I don't understand how anyone can think it's right.
32,000 entrepreneurs in Ohio that would like to be involved in this.
Yeah.
You know, you guys need to show up the end of the month, the end of May. I think it's the 27th, 28th of May.
Right.
We got the Ohio Cannabis Expo at the Convention Center.
Symposium.
We're going to have doctors. We're going to have scientists. We're going to have me and Fred. Are you going to help out? Is Paul going to be there?
I'm going to be speaking as
Johnny
well.
Science
We've
is
got a
gonna be
number
there.
of very high quality
We
speakers.
got some extraordinary
Much
speakers,
better than us.
entrepreneurs. Yeah. Well, that's not that hard. Listen, it's that time of day when we just kind of turn into plant matter and fade away.
It was so fun.
We enjoyed being with you today. If you enjoyed, let us hear from you. We're down here. If you're a volunteer and you want to help with the Ohio Cannabis Institute, we'd like to hear from you as well. So stay tuned for 20